I had $1 million, I'd spend it on a better goaltender. Welcome into the DNVR Avalanche Podcast, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, the #1 rated sportsbook app out there. I'm your host, Rudolph, joined as always by AJ Haefele. And if you're listening to this pod live, what are you doing here? You could be at the DNVR bar or watching the Denver Nuggets in some form play a Game 7 as we speak. We're going to try and get it done, hopefully in time for the second half so we can go watch it ourselves here. But this pod will be here after the game as well if you want to listen to it then. All pods archived on YouTube. If you want to find all of our stuff there, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Always much appreciated. But let's jump into today's show. The big stories developing, well, there's a lot around the league involving GMs and other things going on. But for the Avs and the Dallas Stars, word is starting to spread that for some reason, Dallas is seriously considering starting Ben Bishop in Game 6.
I'm confused. They keep telling Dallas media that they have more information, that the Stars have more information than the media does. And like, okay, that's always true.
Yep.
But the information that the media has is that Ben Bishop did not play well last night.
I just watched Ben Bishop give up 4 goals, and 3 of them were pretty bad.
Like, iffy goals.
Yeah.
Like, over the course of a season, you give those kinds of goals up, and you're just like, it happens. To give them all up in one night, you're like, it's a bad night.
Yep.
Why do you follow that up with playing him again in a series where the other team is on their third goaltender?
Not only on their third goaltender, but your other goaltender has proven he can win in this series.
Yeah, he's been better.
Yep.
Like, I'm at a loss as to why they would even bother with us. Khudobin hasn't been great, but he's been better than what Colorado has thrown out there. And like, let's not forget, Michael Hutchinson gave up 3 goals last night.
Yep. It's not like he played a fantastic game.
Yeah.
He was fine. He got the job done. He also got spotted 5 goals. So.
Right. All he had to do, because of the 5-0 lead, all he had to do was avoid complete catastrophe.
Yeah. He had to
and
prove
he still got halfway there.
Has, in fact, played the goalie position for a living in his life. It's basically all he had to prove.
Yeah. I mean, how many guys do you think you could throw into a game with a 5-0 lead and be like, okay, just don't screw this up.
Yeah. All you have to do is not give up 5 goals. And you in essentially 40 minutes, because he faced 4 shots in the first period, I think it was. Maybe it was 5, but
it was 4.
Yeah.
Because the Avs outscored. They had more goals than Dallas had shots on goal.
Yeah. So in 2/3 of a hockey game, don't give up 5 goals as a goaltender. On most nights, I think any AHL goaltender gets that job done, basically.
I mean, we saw an E-Bug get that done.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
The Zamboni driver was able to
42-year-old
accomplish
Zamboni
it.
Driver didn't give up 5 goals.
So what we're saying here is, last night Michael Hutchinson got a freebie, and he took advantage of it, but that's not going to happen again. And it's not like if they play Ben Bishop tomorrow, it's automatically a freebie for the Avs. It's more of a why bother. Anton Khudobin he's been serviceable in this series. If the Avs had gotten Anton Khudobin level of goaltending in this series, they probably are ahead right now.
I think so. They win Game 2, and they certainly Game 4 is a different story. I don't know if they win it, but
yeah,
maybe they do.
I think there's a decent chance. So that's the series right there. The Avs would have won the series by that point.
Yep.
So
it's that straightforward. And I mean, look, news isn't getting better for the Avs. As AJ, you learned today that Grubauer, he gone.
Yeah, well, came back to Denver. So leaving the bubble, that's bad, man. That's somebody needs surgery bad. Otherwise, like Eric Johnson's hanging around.
Yep.
You know, we know what's going on with EJ, and he's not. Even if the Avs play 7 games this series in the Western Conference Finals and in the Stanley Cup Finals, Eric Johnson won't be within shouting distance of coming back. But he's still been hanging around because what's wrong with him can more or less heal on its own.
Turns out when you don't need surgery, you kind of just have to sit around and let it get better / rehab. So
and right now, like that's all it says to me about Grubauer is that they either know that he needs surgery or he's seeking additional opinions on bad news. And because of the turnaround to the season, to next season, that not only does it put in doubt whether or not he's available to start next season healthy, it also brings the goaltender conversation into play over the summer.
I mean,
over the offseason,
whatever.
Not the summer.
Usually the summer. And also more reason for him, if he needs something done, to get it done immediately, right? It's a situation where him getting back as fast as possible is imperative because he doesn't have a 3-month off season where he can rehab and do all of the things that he needs to do. It's a situation where he's going to be training camp starts in November and nothing is set in stone, but ideally next NHL season starts in December. So Grubauer getting it done and getting healthy again as fast as possible is the situation that he's in. So that is what it is. It's just confirmed now that Grubauer is no longer in the bubble. Any thought of him realistically playing games in these playoffs is gone for sure.
Yeah, and it brings into question that position in the offseason.
If they want to go out and do something else.
Like we talked about Matt Murray after the trade deadline stuff as it was. Grubauer only has a year left on his contract. He's proven to be a decent starter. At worst, he's like a middle of the road starting goaltender in the NHL.
Yep.
If Colorado the injury issues have been a thing, he hasn't taken the big step to prove that he's the man. That he's making $3 million means that they could have a conversation about a guy like Freddie Anderson, who makes more money than Grubauer, but Toronto's looking to shed cap. You know, if they wanted to go, just theoretically, if they wanted to save a little bit of money, an Anderson-Grubauer swap would make sense. The Avs would have to send something else in return because Anderson's better. But, you know, they save a couple of $1 million. And, yeah, you can trade hurt players in the NHL.
Yeah, there's nothing. Pittsburgh doesn't need a starter back. They're going to play Tristan Jarry if they're giving up Matt Murray.
Right.
So.
Well, and the reason that they're wanting to move Murray is just because he's looking for a serious raise, and he's already making like I think $3.75 million, something like that, and Jarry is not making anywhere near that. So, you know, you're not teams are looking to save money there, and. You know, that's I guess that's where Grubauer could come in. Whatever. Like that'll be an off-season conversation that we'll tackle when the Avs are actually in their off-season. They're not there yet. They still have a game to lose to get there. So I don't want to get too much into the weeds on that. Just that with the thing with Grubauer today, it's now a conversation that we are going to have at some point.
Yeah, it's coming. Just be aware and realistically. There's a good chance we'll know a lot more or specifics once the Avs playoff run is over. and the information starts to come out on exactly what Grubauer's process of getting back to NHL ready is. But we can take our first period break there, as it is time to acknowledge Breckenridge Brewery, the official beer of DNVR, and one of my favorites, the Avalanche Amber. Of course, you can get 8 different types of Breckenridge brew on tap down at the DNVR bar. Highly recommend that. Or, of course, you can always use their Breck beer locator to find it near you, whatever type you're looking for. Usually it's right in your local liquor store or grocery store. So give it a check today and give it a try today if you haven't yet. They have a beer for absolutely everyone. And our new gaming sponsor, WGT Golf, that I can confirm, life imitates art, AJ. I was on the golf course today. I was 2 over through 7 holes on the back 9. And I put one directly into the water. And I felt like, yep.
Sounds familiar.
This is exactly what I experienced in WGT. It's like a simulation of real life. So join us on WGT. Over 20 million players around the world, and we're approaching 750 in the 3 DNVR clubhouses. Go to dnvrgolf.com to download and search for DNVR3 to get in on the clubhouses. We have tournaments every single weekend where you can compete against us and win. Top the leaderboards and see your name up there in the lights. It's an awesome time, a bunch of awesome courses, a bunch of awesome ways to play. So can't recommend it enough. WGT Golf. Come get on the links with us and honestly probably beat us. Second period of the DNVR Avalanche Podcast, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Rudo and AJ talking goaltending situation here. And unfortunately, or I mean, depending on who you ask, maybe fortunately, well, let's not make light of injuries, not fortunately, but Michael Hutchinson is very, very likely to be your starter for Game 6, given that no news is bad news when it comes to Pavel Francouz.
Yeah, and what Bednar said today was he just strongly hinted that Hutch was going to be the guy probably for the rest of the series, whether that's
one game or 2.
One more game or 2 games. It sounds like Hutch is... He's in net for the rest of this week.
Yep.
So it'll be great when Jamie Benn goes out and, judo kicks him in the face, and then we have to watch Hunter Miska try and save the season.
Boy, what is Werner even in protocol? Like, what happens? Who's the backup at that point?
Werner actually just got loaned.
Yeah, he signed a deal to a second league Swedish team.
Yeah,
for sure.
To play over there until North American hockey resumes next season.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, presumably he's in Sweden already. But what do the Avs do if they need a 5th goaltender in the bubble?
I don't know, man.
Hit the streets of Edmonton and be like, hey, goalies.
I mean, at that point, I guess Annunen has a pro contract.
That's true. He is technically on contract.
It doesn't start until next season, but I have honestly no idea what you do at that point. Could you imagine if Hutchinson gets hurt and then Miska gets hurt? And then not only do they have to find a dude to play for that, but then they have to find a backup for that guy as well. It could be Annunen and Werner. That would be... Imagine them going into a series against Vegas on their 5th and 6th goaltenders.
Just absurdity.
Trent Miner's in Vancouver. Like,
that's true. He would have to be signed to an emergency contract.
He doesn't need to go through any protocols. He doesn't need to go through any of that stuff. He's already in Canada.
Boy, I think you're onto something there. We could see Trent Miner dressed for a playoff game.
Oh, jeez.
I mean, I think it might be better that than watching the Avs lose this series with, like, Ian Cole dressing up in goalie gear.
It's funny because their position player emergency goaltender
was
for a
EJ.
long time.
I know.
Yeah, it's been EJ. That guy's hurt.
Yep.
So stupid.
Oh man, that's definitely a rabbit hole. But let's be honest. I don't think either of us believe the Avs can even win a cup with Hutchinson and net, let alone whatever comes after that.
You never know, man. You San is just waiting to surprise us all.
That's that. You're not wrong. Like Hutchinson could bonk his head and wake up and think he's Jordan Binnington of last year. We don't know.
That's the thing, right? Like after what Jordan Binnington did last season, and then the way that he was just like sort of okay.
Yep.
And then hardcore return to earth in this playoff year. It's like maybe.
You never know. You never know. Man? But you kind of can suspect very heavily.
You can make an educated guess that Michael Hutchinson's probably not leading them to a cup, but there's only one way to find out. YOLO. Yeah, exactly. Michael Layton. Yeah, they didn't win though.
Well,
Michael Layton led the Flyers to a Stanley Cup loss.
And here's the thing. I believe more today than I did yesterday that the Avs can win this series against Dallas with Michael Hutchinson and
it's funny. Both of us last night were like, this is done.
Yeah.
And then we both wake up today and for some reason we're both like,
there's a chance.
I'll talk myself into it.
Maybe Dallas just doesn't get lucky. I don't know. What could happen? But
yeah.
The other side of that coin is if they do get past Dallas, and I don't want to look too far ahead. This is just really briefly. Vegas is not going to allow Hutchinson to get by.
Well, there's no relief in getting to a backup goaltender. Like tonight, Thatcher Demko, I believe, is supposed to play for Vancouver.
Yeah,
because Markstrom's hurt, and so it's like, okay, everybody's on backup goaltenders. Vegas is the only one that looks smart because they went out and
their backup is a three-time Stanley Cup champion.
Yeah. They got a starter.
Oh,
was it? Okay, I mean, maybe. All right. I guess maybe Markstrom is playing. Cool.
Jeremy would know. So, shout out goalie giant, amazing goalie man in the DNVR community. He's in the chat for once, so good to see you, goalie giant.
Yeah, I mean, to be Dallas blowing a 3-1 series lead, playing their own backup goaltender would not be like banana pants shocking. I think it would. The only way that I would be truly stunned is if the Avs like did what they did last night in both games 6 and 7. If they just stomped them and ran them out early.
Yeah.
That would be the only way I think I would be truly shocked by it. But I could see a world where the Avs like clutch out some wins, but some things would have to change.
Yep.
Mainly Dallas can't keep getting free random goals off of players. Dallas isn't getting shut out because they have Joe Pavelski. He's scoring at least one against the Avs, or at least assisting on one against the Avs. It's just happening. So you got to get right away. You got to get 2 to win.
Yep.
So you're hoping to get the Pavelski and power play goal against in the same thing at the same time, so that you're not giving
both. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the other factor, right? Like, got to stay out of the box.
Oh my gosh.
As much as possible. It's very, very clear that Dallas is going to bait the Avs at every turn to take penalties, and they just cannot take them if they want to have a chance in this series. Yeah. Dallas's power play is 100%. Way too lethal. The Avs penalty kill is way too short-staffed. You can't do it. You just can't do it.
Yeah.
So that's one side of the coin. Look, if you want to break everything down, the Avs defense needs to manage the puck significantly better as well. You got to get consistent play from all of your forwards, not scoring 6 goals a game, but you need pressure from your bottom 6 like they got in Game 5.
Sort of. I mean, they got a goal.
The fourth line.
I guess Comfer had the assist with McKinnon because they were double shifting McKinnon because he was just on fire.
Yep. When you're hot, you're hot.
Right. And I think that's smart coaching from Bednar is to get. It's funny because it seems like an obvious thing to give a guy credit for, but you'll see lots of teams will have guys that they won't double shift. They'll only roll out with the regular line.
Yep.
And I think Bednar's just looking. He's like hunting matchups where he can just throw McKinnon out there and be like, go do something crazy. And as we saw last night, all he needed was 10 seconds on a shift next to Comfer. He makes one nice pass and he gets a one-timer through Bishop. It was a soft goal, but like it's just smart stuff.
Yep. Soft goals are an interesting thing. Some players just have that knack for finding them, right? When a goaltender's out of position, some players see the hole and they shoot it in the hole. Other players, all they see is the goalie. They don't see the open net. So
I'm convinced that's what Matt Nieto looks at.
Yeah, exactly.
He looks at the chess logo.
Right. So even on weak goals from goaltenders, there is still skill from the shooter. He has to put it where the goalie isn't.
Mm-hmm.
And turns out, if you're a superstar in the league like McKinnon, you're pretty good at doing that. So keep doing it, I suppose. Which, yeah, that's, another factor right there. The Avs top line has to keep producing. It cannot go dry, period.
100%. And, they've been good for 2 goals a game in this series, which is, it's absurd.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Straight up.
It's the dumbest thing when you look at it and you're like, oh yeah, they've been good for they come out and Mikko has a goal last night that has nothing to do with McKinnon. McKinnon has a goal that has nothing to do with Mikko. Like those guys found points. They just found ways to score.
Yep. That's what stars do. Or I've used that comparison like 6 times in this series, and it's like, no, that's not what stars do. That's what NHL All-Stars do.
Like, honestly, where the hell has Tyler Seguin been?
Yeah, he showed up in game 1, and that's about it.
I think he has 2 goals in this series. Like, Jamie Benn has he has a couple of goals.
But they're like nonsense.
Well, and like his goal last night was actually awesome.
Yeah, sure.
When he went between his legs to flip the puck like that, I thought it was poorly played by Hutchinson, and it was awful defense from Graves. But like Ben pulled it off. That was awesome, man. But and he's been good, and Joe Pavelski just destroys the Avs.
He's an Avs murderer. Like
they just have to survive Joe Pavelski at this point, and then after that, like Radulov's been really quiet since
his nonsense goal.
Yeah, like he's
just around. It's a high scoring series, so some people are picking up points, but
yeah, well, and like Guryanov and Hintz, like guys who were productive for them down in the lineup, they have gotten points, they have found points. The game 4 win was driven by Dallas's 4th line.
Yep.
Like they've gotten good depth scoring, and they've needed it because their top line outside of game 1, their top line has been very blah.
Yeah, not great to say the least.
I think last night on the broadcast they said that the top line had 17 points in the series, which matched Colorado's top line, and they had 8 of them in game 1.
Yep.
And so, since then, basic math, right?
9 points.
You have 9 points in the last 5 games as the line. You're not producing at a super high level.
It's less than 2 goals a game, and if you're giving them 2 assists, it's like a goal a game.
Yeah. It's just been sort of okay.
Yep.
And that was kind of what we talked about coming in, was that Colorado had the big advantage at the top, and we liked Colorado's depth, but Dallas's depth has done it better. They've outplayed Colorado's depth. And Dallas's defense has certainly outplayed Colorado's defense on the offensive end. It's been all Cale Makar and Sam Girard. That's it. That's the only offense coming from the back end right now.
Yep.
Zadorov had the 2-point night and then got hurt. and is clearly playing compromised and is just surviving back there because they're not going to put Kevin Connaughton and Connor Timmins on the back end.
Avs very, very, very clearly sheltered the heck out of him when Game 5 got out of reach. You watched a struggling Ryan Graves just have to eat PK minutes.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm if Zadorov couldn't go, I'd be going with Byram. Like, I'm sorry, I just would be.
Yep. Why not? Live the dream.
I mean, you're talking about putting those guys on your roster next year anyway. They're in the bubble. You brought them for a reason. Don't just have this be some fun little thought experiment. Put that guy out there. Let Bo Byram go and do his thing with the puck. Put that guy next to Cale Makar on offensive zone faceoffs. Put that guy next to Connor Timmins at 5v5. Don't. If you're gonna go go down swinging, dude. Go down with the talent that you brought, because this is a unique situation where you normally don't get all of these guys around. Some of these guys. I mean, some of these guys would be playing in the AHL playoffs or whatever in a normal year. Connor Timmins wouldn't have been available for the Avs.
Look at it. What did we just say about the Avs' biggest issue right now is they're playing a third-string goaltender. They're going to have to outscore some of their problems.
Right.
If you want to outscore problems, let Byram go, and maybe you get lucky.
You're not an Anton Lindholm appearance. Hi, Rex. You're not an Anton Lindholm appearance away from being so good defensively that you're going to lock them down. At this point, the best defense is a better offense. You need to push the puck. You need to get it out of your zone. Go with puck movers, man. I would be all for. I'm not saying that they should sit any of their guys, but if one of them can't go, if one of them is physically compromised, like they were very clearly using last night to let Zadorov play it cool.
Yep,
he's compromised in a way that I think it's a very thin margin for him playing and not playing. But I would go Byram. I'm not sitting Ryan Graves. This whole sitting guys in the postseason, I'm not sitting Ian Cole. I'm not sitting Ryan Graves. Those guys earned the right to go down with the ship because they were a big reason the ship got here in the first place. Kevin Connaughton is easy because he had 4 games played. You can pull him out of the lineup, but you don't pull Ryan Graves out of the lineup. You don't send that message.
Not only is it that they've earned it, you're not putting Bowen Byram into the lineup to penalty kill for you. And if you're putting him in for Ryan Graves, that's what he's going to have to do.
Right.
So you're asking for trouble in that situation.
Yeah, I mean, you're asking to have a guy just stand there on the PK because he's not. He hasn't.
Yeah.
Like he's been practicing and all that stuff, but that's great. They're not using him in that situation. They've never used him in that situation.
Yep. So
it's just like you're putting Bowen Byram in there strictly to be the second. You would put him on the second PP next to Sam Girard and take a guy like Domestikov off that unit because why bother? And you're putting him out there to play 15 minutes at 5v5 tops, and you're hunting offensive zone faceoffs, and it just gives you an extra element of dynamic puck moving ability. Yep. But you can't sit Ryan Graves for that. That's
the defense as it stands isn't built for that. If you have to do it, if Ryan Graves gets hurt, it's a different conversation. But
yeah,
unless you have to do that, and because the Avs penalty kill is already decimated, you can't adding more fuel to that fire. Dallas is just going to score at will, basically. We do have to take.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, got to take our second period break. DraftKings Sportsbook, the number 1 rated sportsbook app out there. They now have an Instagram page as well. Be sure to go and follow it for all the latest news on their odds boosts and amazing bets that you can make. With football right around the corner, there is no better place to get in on all of the action than with DraftKings Sportsbook. To celebrate the return of football, DraftKings is giving all users a no-brainer to start the season. Listen up, because you don't want to miss this. Have you ever heard of a football team losing by 100 points? Well, for week 1, DraftKings is ensuring that even if Kansas City were to lose by 100 points, you still win. Kansas City would have to lose game 1 by 101 points for you to not cash this bet. It's literally free money. Literally free money. Just go to DraftKings Sportsbook, sign up, and place this bet, and you are getting free dollars in your account for free. I mean, not you have to put money down, but there is no world where Kansas City loses by 101 points. So jump on it today. Download that top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code DNVR to take advantage of this no-brainer offer. Again, promo code DNVR when you sign up for a limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older, Colorado only. Other terms, conditions, and restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700. Third period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. AJ, you were about to say something. I don't know what it was.
Yeah, there was one of the questions in here I think is very relevant. That says, what if Calvert or Donskoy returns? Who comes out? Is it LOC, Nieto, Nemesnikov? And I think at this point you have to leave LOC in there.
Yeah, you're not taking out LOC.
You could flip a coin between Nieto and Nemesnikov for me.
Either would be a fine answer.
I mean, Nemesnikov's been invisible, but so is Matt Nieto. He hadn't done anything in the series either.
Yep.
He just hasn't. And like,
here's the thing. If it's Calvert coming back, you might sit Nemesnikov. Actually, either way, you might sit Nemesnikov because Matt Nieto PKs.
Which right now isn't a feather in anybody's cap because the PK is getting rolled.
I understand that, but
I get where you're coming from.
If you get Calvert back, that's an addition to your PK if you don't take Nieto out. If you get Donskoy back and you take Nieto out, you're shorthanding your PK even further.
Well, Donskoy's played a little on the PK in the playoffs. I'm just saying, like, he's been on it a little bit.
Yeah, okay, fine, but Nieto is still playing significantly more there.
That's like his designated role.
It's he does that and he skates fast at 5-on-5, and that's literally all he does. So, maybe that's why I lean to Nemesnikov if you have to make that choice.
I'm fine with it. Like I said, you could flip a coin and I'd be fine.
Yeah, I wouldn't I'm not going to be outraged if it's Nieto. I just think,
and I'm not going to look at the end of the game and I'm going to say, "Boy, you really left something
difference." Yeah,
you really left something out of the lineup when you made this choice. Like, and that's kind of how we were feeling about Connor Timmins and Kevin Connaughton.
Yep.
And then they made that switch, and I think it was the right switch. I would continue to roll with it. I think once you make that switch, you stick with it, barring like a
disaster,
a nuclear meltdown of a bad game from a guy like Timmins, because this is a kid. That's his third NHL game, ever, and you're already feeling like, okay, well, the difference between him and Connaughton just wasn't that big, but that the upside for one of those guys is a lot higher. I would continue to roll with it. I think Bednar's going to roll with it, and I think it's to his credit. He did the coach thing. He went with the experience. It didn't work. He had the stones to say, screw it, I'm playing the kid. And in a league with extremely conservative coaches that don't often do that, I'll give him that credit.
Sure. He could have put
not a ton of credit, but it's some.
He could have put Barberio in there as the next veteran. He could have put Lindholm in there as the defensive D guy.
Yeah.
And he went with Timmins.
Yeah.
So
he went with the second least experienced guy that he could have gone with.
Yeah. The other guy
the other guy is Byram.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
In a hockey universe that values experience so highly, I like the fact that they're rolling with this. They're like, hey, screw it. This is our future.
When you're down and out and got players injured, the future is now, I suppose.
Yep. I mean, why not? They suffered the right injury to make this work.
Yep, very well put.
Because had it been Ian Cole, you could have talked yourself into Anton Lindholm.
Yep,
100% could have talked yourself into Anton Lindholm. But because it was EJ, it was like, yeah, all right. Yeah, I think I think tomorrow is going to open up and it's going to look like a mismatch of games 4 and 5, where you saw both teams just come out flying. I think they are both going to come out tomorrow.
We're going to find out if Michael Hutchinson can make a save. I'll put it that way.
God, I am not looking forward to that first shot on goal where it's just like
Scramble City.
Where, yeah, I mean, like we talked about last night, he totally thought the first one went in on him.
Yep. Hey, I mean, they talked about it.
You know what?
He's got a win under his belt. He's technically undefeated with the Avs.
Yeah, you know what? He beat the Stars in the playoffs and he beat the Red Wings in the regular season for the Avs. It's fine.
We talked about that at the top of the show, Kevin. You can go back and watch that if you would like. But yeah, there's a good chance Bishop starts.
We'll see.
Yeah, I think that's all I got. This is a short show. Obviously, we'll have a lot more to talk about tomorrow once this game happens.
Yeah, and then we'll either be gearing up for a Game 7, or we'll be gearing up for the most depressing edition of Free Skate Friday.
Yeah, one of the two is gonna be coming your way. So keep it locked, keep it loaded.
As Frank Sinatra said, that's life.
Who said it ain't over till the fat lady sings?
No, a bunch of people.
Yeah, but who coined it?
Yogi Bear, of people.
Maybe? Probably. Good point. It's just everybody. Humanity created that phrase.
I think that phrase is like the song "House of the Rising Sun," where it's been done by everybody. It's been said by everybody. It's just like your rite of passage. If you haven't covered House of the Rising Sun, you're not an actual band. Congratulations.
Here's your band card.
I'm really excited to hear like the Backstreet Boys version of it. It's gonna be great. Then they can become a real band, and my shame can go away.
In the house of Backstreet's back. All right. All right. We'll get out of here.
I don't claim this segment.
Before we get any further off track, we will get out of here. MSU Denver Online, a great way to get yourself back into school, whether you're a returning student or new to the whole process. They have a bunch of awesome programs, over 40 of which can be taken online and in the classroom. Either way, mix and match, however it works for you. We have both Ali Monroy and Harrison Wind take classes over the summer. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to them. They both loved their experiences and said that the professors were great. Almost all of them come from the fields that they teach, so they can give you real life experience and become networking options for you to get you connections into that field. Thank you, everybody, for watching. No Manscaped, not going to be for a while. Not going to be Manscaped for a while, but I appreciate the love. We're out of here. Go watch the end of this Nuggets game. I don't even know what the score is, but I'm about to go turn it on.
They're wailing on them.
The Nuggets are?
Yeah.
Oh, baby.
They were in Game 7 against Portland last year, too, before they choked that away, so I'm not going to get too excited about this.
Fair enough. It's not over till it's over, but Nuggets apparently looking good. Hopefully the Avs look good tomorrow. Until then, we will talk to you next time.